Today is Monday, June 24. It is 8:25 a.m. The levels you see here on the board are what we're going to use to trade against in the E-minis. And this is the week that a decision needs to be made. If they want to be perfectly on time, then they would close at a certain price, pretty low, below current price, at the end of this week. And that would do something on the weekly and the monthly chart that would provide clues that they're going to go lower in the long term. But if they don't want to do it on time, they've got next week as well. So they could be a fake out. They could go spike a lot higher and then come down. But if they don't do any of this stuff, especially on high volume, and continue to grind higher, we'll analyze it as needed. But we'll come back to this chart after the market closes today and talk about the trades that were taken at these levels. And just to point out that while they're not very close, like say, 50 cents, 60 cents apart from each other is, in my opinion, close, and I would consider that a zone. Still, if they fall or move, I shouldn't say fall, if they move fast any direction, then caution will need to be taken. That's the way I'm going to be trading if I'm able to trade today, because I don't really want to get caught in some type of drastic move. But today's only Monday. We've got 5 days. A lot can happen this week. See you after the market closes. Here we are after 8 p.m. now, and it wasn't the easiest day to trade. We're going to look at several trades that I took, ended in the green, and honestly, you could have playing by the rules, just understanding some things which probably aren't necessarily immediately apparent to everyone who may be trading at these levels. So just want to point out what you should have done playing by the rules. Yes, this level was not respected at all. The one at 544.50 or 544.45 if you're applying the 5-cent buffer. We'll just go ahead and do that right now, because that was after 9:45. 9:45, they were down here somewhere. So if you sold short here, nothing happened. By the time they got up to this next level, 545.83 operating level, you would add to the position. What I did is I sold 2 here, I sold 2 here, and I'm going to explain something up here in a minute. I really, really was hoping they'd get up to this. This is essentially a little bit above the gap from Thursday where they closed, but I did not see until after the fact, like literally just maybe 30 minutes ago. Something I forgot about in the morning, but I had a level that I calculate differently. I mentioned this before, they don't hit very often. It's based on larger term data. It was a penny above this. So they went as high as 546.95. I had a level at 546.94. This really could have been a zone. I should have made it a zone this morning. That means I would have added to the position and it would have worked out much better. I could have trailed something down, but you don't really know. I didn't know at the time. But you'll see this trade. I'll show it to you. And when they came down, your average position size, your average entry point will be somewhere in here. And this was enough for a base hit, just barely. And I'll show you, how that would have happened. I actually just took part off and thought I could trail more. They stopped me out, did a couple dumb things, but I actually found another trade down here somewhere. It's after 2 o'clock. Let's see. Yep. And that was something else developing on just like a 5-minute chart. Actually, thought I could get like a little bit of a bounce, and actually they bounced more than I thought. Bought here thinking I could buy lower if they went down to this level. And by the time they got to the level, it was after 3:30. I don't take trades after 3:30, but I got a little bit of a move here. So it worked out pretty good. Before we go to the live trade, I want to show you the daily chart. This is significant, I believe. It could be maybe, because they closed, the official close here on TradeStation, which is usually pretty accurate. It's 542.74. The low of Friday was 543.02. So they've closed below the low of Friday. Now there's some support down here. Things would look kind of hairy if they get below, but there's a gap there. There's several things going on, but you start looking at some of these other indexes, Qs are in worse shape. The SMH, mostly that's NVIDIA pulling that thing down. But, writing's been on the wall for a while for that one. The IWM looks completely different. Some of these other indexes I track. I just want to point this out because we've talked about like the weekly, what they need to do for 1 week and what that would look like, what that would make the monthly chart look like if they were to come down and close and volume would shoot up. It's hard to say. They have 4 more days to do something like that, which would give a very solid signal like what is developing in the SMH if you want to go over there and take a look at that. On the monthly chart, the timing and everything else, I've said this several times before, but that's a longer term thing. But having this kind of information in the back of my mind just kind of helps me develop a path forward throughout the day. And I suspect they're going to be kind of weird the rest of the week. It's possible for them to act kind of odd. Didn't expect them to just not respect these levels early on. They did later. You can see the levels are important. The calculations were right, in case you're wondering. It's just they didn't behave the way I like them to behave early on. You'll notice that it's after 9:45 at this point. I'm in the trade, just sold right there at the level, and started recording this. And then I'm tracking this. Of course, there's a fumble threshold, and they sliced right through that. I'll just move ahead here. Already talked about this. Now you can watch it. Short 4 when they hit the next level. I do have a maximum loss limit, and there are rules, but when you have levels that get sliced through, there's going to be a point pretty soon, almost not every single time. It is very rare that you're going to have a day that just continues through multiple levels and doesn't look back. So this, was essentially my safety net. And now, like I said earlier, now that after the fact, I realized I could have made a zone here because I had a level right below this, and it really wouldn't have made a whole lot of difference for me. Just that I would have had I would have averaged it in 3 times and had a little bit more leash or more leeway on this. But anyway, all that to say, never got to 547.10. So it never triggered a third trade up there. So here is a base hit of my now 4 contract short right here. And as they got down closer to it, I should have left it alone, but I changed it to 3. So you now see it's $600 instead of the $800. Thinking, well, if they did fall, maybe that was it. This is where they found the resistance, and they're just going to go lower. But I got the 600 on the 3 contracts, and then they never went any lower, and they ended up stopping me out. I stopped myself out. So here's what happened. So when they come back up here, I even gave this 545.83 just another chance to react. So you see me here. I'll back up a little bit. You'll see me cancel this trailing stop here when they get up close. I'm like, well, I don't want to get stopped out. At break even essentially on this. And it probably would have been the smart thing to do, because you'll see what I did. I just kind of started questioning, like, well, why did I do that? I should have just played by my rules. I let this thing kind of get out of the money and wondered, well, maybe they're just acting odd or just different. Abnormal or odd or different is definitely a relative term when you're talking about the market, because anything can happen. But so I just jumped out with a $250-something loss on this one contract, just manually, because I just didn't want to play this game anymore, because I really should have just let the stop me out. And where did that happen? Happened because what I'm doing here is giving them a chance to react, to come back lower at this point, because I was planning on the rest of the day being lower. And they did go lower. It just took a lot longer than I expected. Anyway, so all that back and forth, they got lower, just didn't wait for it. And here's this other trade I was going to tell you about. So not going to trade these levels anymore. 544.45. It went through it again. When they get down close to 543.14, there was something I saw on another chart that I thought, I'm going to start buying. I'm going to buy a contract there. I just sort of bought at the market, and I'll buy again if they get down into this zone here. But they actually handed this to me pretty quickly, so I'll show it to you. And they never got down to 543, at least at this point in the market. So I was able to get a little bit more money here on the this one contract right there. I went up through it. I know I'm kind of scrubbing here, so let me just let this play so you can see it happen. Granted, this is already sped up, but at least you can see the moment it touches, that trades out, and I've got the 4 points with one contract. And that was the last trade I did. There you go. Because as you know, after 3:30, they got down into the next level finally, and I'm not going to take that trade at that point in the day. Nothing really more to add here. Just showing the levels as they were traded. Of course, there's a midpoint here. That really was the playing by the rules base hit. Not much after being out of the money a lot, but it was possible, with the expectation that they're going to find some overhead resistance. On days like this, there's a battle. I mean, this week's going to be a battle, honestly. Bears and Bulls are going to be fighting this out, and somebody's going to win. And not that I'm betting on anything big term, but the way other things are looking, I suspect they're going to be going lower sooner than later in a big way. We're only focused on these little intraday trades, and today just wasn't the easiest day, unfortunately. If you played by the rules, you would have averaged in these 2 levels, got a base hit on the combined position. You would have not triggered the last one because it was after 3:30 p.m. So yes, 8 points was possible. You saw me almost get that. Then I changed my mind and got took 3 contracts off. So instead of 800, I got 600. And then I gave money back when it went back up. So here's what I ended up getting when you do the math. I had two contract trades, one contract trade, but only walked away with 5.5 points to the good because I gave some points back. So 550 before commissions. Okay, I'll take it. Not going to complain. So interesting day. It's going to be an interesting week. And if other days are like this, volume starts picking up and things that crazy, then just be careful. That's the only advice I can really give. but I'm still gonna use my numbers. I will pay more attention to my longer term numbers, which I calculate. Well, not every day. It's a different approach, and that's one of the reasons they would work off. They would work well for options trades, like swing trades for longer term trades. I've kind of gotten away from options a while back, and I just do futures. But anyway, getting off topic. That's pretty much it for the day, and we'll do this again tomorrow. I appreciate you watching, and I hope this worked well for some people today. I did get a little bit of feedback, and is at an uncertain area on the knife's edge, you're going to get kind of abnormal or uncertain behavior. And today might be a little taste of what's to come. Thanks. Have a nice day. We will see you tomorrow.